I'm just going to go over the basic design principles that you would think about when designing a dashboard. So starting off, you need a good color scheme. So the color scheme will set the mood of your dashboard. Often, if you want it to look very high tech, you would use blue, like in Twitter or Facebook. Green is a more like natural and inviting color, or you could use black if you want to look very like slick and elegant. It's always good to limit your color palette, as if you put too many colors into a dashboard, nothing's going to stand out. It's all going to be a huge mess. So if you do need a lot of colors, think about using different shades of a color instead of different colors altogether. So when you're creating your color palette, you basically need 3 sets of colors to put into your dashboard. So you need your neutral colors, which you'll use for your backgrounds and for text. You need your primary color. So this is 1 or 2 colors that you would use as your main color on your dashboard. So these are used for the foreground colors and for navigational elements. You also need bright colors. These are for like points of interest, such as notifications or warnings and things like that. So here is an example of a color scheme used well and a color scheme used badly. So on the left, you see that they're just throwing a ton of bright colors at it, and you can't really see, nothing really stands out, and it's all just like this big mess of color. On the left, we can see how they've taken their neutral colors for their background colors and for their text colors. Then they've used their primary color for the design is their blue that they've used for their navigational elements. And then they've used their bright colors for points of interest, such as the red on the notification bell, the yellow in the oops message up the top, and the turquoise next to the engineering. So this is an example about how we've used color schemes in one of our apps, so in Coupe. So we obviously have our neutral colors. We have our white background with the grey accents. So the grey is used here to pull different parts of the page together so we know what belongs where. Then we have our primary colors. In this case, it's blue and green. So we've used our blue primary color as for the top navigation, where you can choose your topic and subtopic. And then we've used green for our secondary navigation, where you can choose what you want to see, like your overview or your tables. And then we've used our bright colors here for the graphs and the information buttons up the top. So another thing to think about when choosing your color scheme is the accessibility. For this example, it's looking at colorblindness. So the example on the left is without any colorblindness filters on it, and the example on the right is where the person viewing it is blue colorblind. So this is important because if through some colorblindness filters, the colors merge together, so you can't see the difference between, let's say, the age and sex graph. The blues could look the same. So this is very important when you're using graphs, because if all the colors blend together, it could skew what the data is telling you. Another thing to think about is the contrast of your text. So in the top example, the top green box, you can see it's really bad contrast and it makes it very hard to read. And in the second green box, it's good contrast, so it's much easier to read. So this is very important if someone has vision impairment in any way, that bad contrast will make it impossible to use the tool. So I use the WebAIM contrast checker to check to make sure the contrast is enough between the text elements in the background. So you can see for this example, the 2 colors have failed for normal text, but have passed for if you're using large text. Okay, so on to choosing your font. So first up, Comic Sans probably isn't your best option for a font. This also goes for like handwriting fonts or script fonts. They're probably going to look very unprofessional on a web setting. Next, you probably want to avoid serif fonts. So serif fonts are the ones with the little like feet at the end of the letters. These generally just aren't used in web design. It will probably make it look like it's come from the 90s if you do use it. So it's best to use sans serif fonts such as Arial, because they just look a lot more slick and clean on the web. When you're using your fonts, you just want a handful of styles, because if you use too many styles, it will get very messy and hard to navigate through the tool. So you're probably going to want a style for your main headings, your subheadings, the body text, and links. So here is an example how we've used that in Coupe. So here we have our main heading, which is big and bold, so it stands out. Then we have our subheading, which is slightly smaller. We have our minor headings, which are quite small but still bold, so it's different to the body text. Then we have body text and our links, which are a distinct color. The use of icons is also very important in design. So you can often use icons in place of words. Like for home, you can just use your little home icon. So this can declutter a design and make it really easy for users to navigate it. A good resource for icons is Font Awesome. So you can basically go there and download all the basic icons that you would need. So in Coupe, we used very distinct icons for the different topics in the tool. So here you can see there's a different icon for alcohol, eating, gambling, and so on. So within the tool, whenever we're in an area where we refer to one of these topics, we will also use that icon for a visual clue. Designing for the web will mimic how people interact with things in real life. So for example, English speakers will read a book and they'll go from left to right, top to bottom. So in web design, you also have to use that, as in the top left corner will be your strongest corner. So where you'll put your logo and the most important information, where the bottom right corner is the weakest corner. So where you put things that people don't necessarily need to see. And for this example, in factories, the emergency stop button has to be big and bright, and it has to stand out so people can press it automatically without having to think about it. So we also use this in web design. When we have buttons, the button that you want people to press automatically has to be the first in the row. It will be the bright color and it will stand out from the rest of the buttons. Okay, so just to wrap up, always choose a limited color palette and think about it a lot before you use it. Always consider accessibility when you design things. Put a lot of thought into picking the right fonts for your websites, and use icons to show people rather than telling them what things are, and take inspiration from real life.